Let's start by discussing what is Judea and Samaria. It's a geographic name for the hilly regions north and south of Jerusalem. It's largely synonymous with the term West Bank, which the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan gave to the area when it conquered it and annexed it in 1950. Regardless of the name, some claim that this territory is currently under belligerent occupation by the State of Israel, and that international law places numerous restrictions on Israel's presence and conduct there. I will explain how, according to the rules of international law applied everywhere else in the world, the territory is not occupied, and in fact, Israel has a strong sovereign claim to it. In May 1948, the mandate for Palestine came to an end, and the State of Israel was established. 5 Arab armies immediately invaded, seeking to prevent the establishment of the Jewish state. President Truman, however, promptly recognized, quote, the Jewish state proclaimed in Palestine. So what were Israel's borders when it was created in May 1948? In international law, there is a simple, clear rule to determine the borders of new countries. Under the doctrine of uti potestatis juris, a new country automatically inherits the borders of the last top-level administrative unit in the area. In other words, pre-independence internal boundaries carry over to become the external boundaries of the new state. The continuity of prior borders is the sole deciding factor, trumping fuzzy and hard-to-administer considerations like self-determination and, as the ranking member pointed out, historical title and historical presence. The rule is a matter of textbook international law, and the reasons for it are clear. Demographics and history give rise to multiple competing claims, whereas uti potestatis provides a unique, unambiguous solution. Take, for example, Crimea. The territory had been part of Russia and the Russian Empire for most of the past several hundred years. The majority of the inhabitants were Russian speakers, yet the international community rightly considers Russia's annexation of the territory illegal and regards it as Ukrainian territory to this day. The reason is simple. It is the uti potestatis juris principle. Nikita Khrushchev had redrawn the internal borders of the Soviet Union to place Ukraine in the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. It had previously been in the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic. A fairly arbitrary decision on his part. When the Soviet Union collapsed and the Ukraine became a state, it automatically inherited the borders of the last top-level unit, the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. So when Israel gained independence, the preceding geopolitical entity was mandatory Palestine, which included Judea and Samaria. That's not in dispute. So Israel's borders upon independence automatically extended to all of the mandatory territory it succeeded to. Indeed, throughout the Middle East, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, the states that had been League of Nations mandates to this day still have the borders of the mandatory territory. In each of these countries, the mandatory borders were drawn in ways that included discontented minorities, unhappy to be part of the larger state, be it Muslims in then Christian Lebanon or Kurds in Iraq. But in none of these cases have such arguments been seen as a reason to redraw the new borders. Now, Jordan and its allies failed at wiping out the Jewish state in 1948, but they did occupy much of Palestine, including Judea and Samaria. It ethnically cleansed every single Jew from this area. When Israel took these areas in 1967, it was not occupying foreign territory, but rather taking territory to which it had sovereign title since 1948, sovereign rights. Imagine if Ukraine dislodged Russia from Crimea. Would anyone say that Ukraine was now occupying the Crimea because Russia had administered it for so long? The neutral application of these rules can be clearly seen in the Karabakh conflict, a majority Armenian region within Azerbaijan with a deep Armenian history. Armenia took control of it in a war with Azerbaijan at the time of the country's independence in the early 90s. Yet since Baku captured the territory in 2023, no one treats it as an occupying power. The reason is simple. Karabakh had been within the boundaries of the Azeri Soviet Socialist Republic and automatically becomes part of the state of Azerbaijan. So under widely agreed international rules, Israel has sovereign rights to the territory. The legal principles are not controversial. Some just want to create a unique carve-out for the Jewish state. To conclude, let me turn to practical applications. Some who believe the road for peace depend on the creation of a sovereign Palestinian state may worry that the legal analysis here prevents that. That is not the case. The law is neutral to diplomatic solutions. Israel's sovereign rights to the territory does not prevent and indeed enables it to cede some or all of it for the creation of a separate Palestinian state. What the legal analysis does make clear is there is nothing about the 1949 armistice lines that make them the legally mandated or even presumptive borders of such a state. I thank you for your time and attention.